What's up, everyone? I'm Raina,
And I'm Phil.
and welcome back to 1 Minute Board Games. Today, we're coming at you with 5 first impressions. So these are board games that we have played for the first time, and we're going to go ahead and give our initial thoughts on them.
Yeah. So we were lucky enough to be invited by Christina and Shu from the Going Analog podcast, as well as the board game quiz show for a day of board gaming.
Yeah, so we're able to play a few games that we have not played before, which is kind of what inspired this video.
Yeah. So in this video, we'll be talking about Volfyirion, Sorcerer City, Gods Love Dinosaurs, The Search for Planet X, and Tidal Blades, Heroes of the Reef.
Yeah, so without further ado, let's get started.
So let's first talk about Volfyirion. It is designed by Federico Tini and Alessandro Veracci, and it's published by Tabula Games.
Yeah, so Volfyirion is a 1v1 battle deck builder where each player represents a house vying for control over the world of Mysthia. Now, Volfyirion itself is a magical dragon that resides in the world of Mysthia, and each player vies for control over Volfyirion in order to manipulate him and destroy their opponent's cities.
Yeah. So Volfyirion is pretty much like a standard battle deck builder, kind of reminiscent of Star Realms, where you start with a pretty bad deck, and then you use knowledge points, you can use combat points and command points to purchase different things. So this game is, I guess, more unique in that you have 3 different types of resources that you can use, and each of them can purchase different cards by doing different things. And so I think that's a pretty unique take on it. There's also like the big dragon that you can move over to someone else's city. Mm-hmm. And if it stays there at the end of the opponent's turn, then it kind of destroys the other player's city, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm. So you have 3 different cities that you are trying to protect, because the first person to destroy the opponent's 3 cities is the one that wins. And it's cool because each city has 2 different slots, one for a guard, which can kind of act like as a shield. Mm-hmm. So if the opponent attacks a city with a guard, then that guard is the first to go and the city still remains, which is super useful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really strategic as to how you want to build your city and which ones you want to try to guard and protect.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a nice take on it. Plus the art is
the
gorgeous.
Art is great.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite parts of the game.
Mm-hmm. And each of the cards, there's 3 different houses, 3 different colors, red, green, mm-hmm. and purple. And they each have, some of the cards have different colored banners on them. And some of them have the ability to go ahead and activate other abilities based on the type of banners that you have in your city if you have played at that time. Mm-hmm. So if you build your deck correctly, it really allows for some awesome combo moves. And, pretty early in the game, I had a bunch of resources stacked because I had all the right cards. It was pretty exciting for me.
She really did. I mean, because... So for buildings and guards, they stay in play until like a city is destroyed. And so she had a guard in one city and then another building in another city, and they were combo offing each other mm-hmm. and gaining her like 5 different resources just at start of turn.
Yeah, they were different colored banners too. So I had cards in my deck that were able to use those 2 different colored banners and just produce some crazy combos. But for as much as I thought I was running away with the game in the beginning, he caught up. I did win, but by the time that I had won, I had only 1 city left, and I don't think I would have lasted another turn.
Yeah. I knew that there was one chance that she gave me where I could have won the game, but I didn't draw the right card, so... Mm-hmm. I didn't win, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I think it's cool that it seems like it's a pretty tight race to see who can mm-hmm. be the first to, nuke the other 3 cities. And It was a pretty enjoyable deck builder. I really liked it. Mm-hmm. And Tabula Games actually commissioned us or hired us to go ahead and do a preview of Volfyirion Guilds, mm-hmm. which is releasing on Kickstarter, I believe in the beginning of July. If they have a launch page, we'll go ahead and link it down below. Yeah. So go ahead and make sure to check that out. And shout out to them for sending us over for us to go ahead and play, because it was really enjoyable.
Yeah. It's also, I believe, the new guilds will add different types of gameplay. So instead of 1v1, you can also do I believe 2v2, and you can also fight against Volfyirion as like a competitive
that
thing.
Sounds so cool.
It's interesting.
Yeah, so first impression, really solid, and I'm excited to play this again.
Yeah. Same. All right, so the next game we're talking about is Sorcerer City. It's designed by Scott Caputo, and it's published by Druid City Games.
So Sorcerer City, in this game, you are playing as a wizard architect who is in charge of rebuilding Sorcerer City every year. And this is a real-time deck building tile placement game, which sounds pretty crazy. And we started playing this game because when we were guests on Going Analog's podcast, one of the topics that we talked about was real-time games. And I had let it slip in there that I don't like real-time games. So they were kind of like, let's introduce you to this game because it has a mechanic that you do like, which is tile placement, and we'll see how you enjoy it. And I really did enjoy it. Yeah.
So the game is played over a series of 5 rounds, and each round you get 2 minutes with a certain stack of tiles that you have to just build out this configuration all in real time. You are doing it in your own city, so each player has their own city, and they're creating like different colored rooms and stuff like that, and it's super cool.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a deck builder in which you start out with I want to say the same 10 or so tiles, and then you have the opportunity to go ahead and purchase new tiles that you add to your deck, and then you're able to use those in the future. So you can craft your deck to your liking because there are 4 different resources. I believe there's raw magic, money, influence, and prestige. So it's basically money, victory points, influence, which will get you really good end of year bonus goals, which you want to be shooting for, and also raw magic, which you can use to convert to any of the other 3 resources. And so they're represented by 4 different colors, and so you can try to see and build your deck as to which resource you want to invest your time in. And it's super cool because as the years go on, you get more tiles, and so you run out of time to sort of build your city in those 2 minutes.
The buying phase really reminds me of Quacks of Quedlinburg in that, if you're first, you are able to, I guess, when you're first in Prestige, you get the option of, getting both points as well as the end of year card. And then if you're second, you get a choice of one or the other. So you can go for the points or you can go for the bonus. And if you're third, you have to take the other one. And then all other players just basically get more money. So it has that same vibe that I get when I'm playing Quacks, where I can purchase different things to make my bag better. Well, in this game you're purchasing tiles to make your deck of tiles better. So
yeah, I was kind of apprehensive going into it because, like I said, I don't like real-time games, but I really enjoyed it, and I did win. And I think what we both figured out, or what he was able to provide, introspect for me, I guess, was that I don't like real-time games when they're cooperative and I have to worry about other people.
She has to worry about other people, but it's also just more of a stressful situation. This one was kind of stressful, but it's you are in control of your own city, so that's all you have to worry about. And if you screw up, that's your own city that you have to worry about. Whereas something like Sonar, Captain Sonar, you are working with a team of 4 other players, and so it's it can be a lot harder and more stressful.
So what did you think about the game? Because I feel like one of the reasons I really liked it was because I'm such a big fan of tile laying games. And tile laying games don't really tickle your brain the same way that it does me.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I really liked it though. I thought it was super cool being able to build your room, and it was super stressful. It's actually really cool too because they have this little companion app where you can, it's completely unnecessary, but it has music, and then you can start it, and then the last 10 seconds they start ticking a ticking clock, and you're just oh no.
So you just hear everyone
frantically putting down tiles. And I thought it was very swingy, to be honest, but the end game scoring was pretty evenly distributed. Although she did really well, so she got up there.
It was a pretty even game I felt like some people were lacking a bit when we were playing it. So.
Oh, and there's a really cool thing where they introduce monster tiles, which can do devastating things to your city.
And so there was
adds a nice little, even more stressful twist.
Yeah, at the end of every year, a new monster comes out, and for example, we have this. There's this dragon, and when the dragon comes out, you have to place it next to a tile, and that tile is just destroyed for the rest of the game.
Yep, you lose it.
And so there was this crazy situation where Christina, she had she had this really powerful one tile, and she drew that first. And then the next tile that she drew was the dragon, so she had to destroy that tile. And I think, lucky for that, because otherwise I think she would have won the game.
Yeah, she would have ran away with it if she kept it. So,
yeah, it was a solid game. I think I would love to try to play it again.
Yeah.
I think all the different monsters, there's a bunch of different monsters that it comes with, so they're different every game, so I think that does add some variability.
Yeah.
So,
and the tokens that they have for score is super cool because they like all stack on each other, and it's just a wonderful production. Yeah. And also the front cover is giving me, Dalaran vibes.
Vibes, or my old World of Warcraft.
Super cool.
Yes, if you like real-time games, I suggest trying it out. And if you don't like real-time games, I still suggest trying it out because I had a great time with it. Cool.
And if you like tile laying games, then you can probably get it.
All right, so next we are going to talk about Gods Love Dinosaurs, which is designed by Casper Lap and published by Pandasaurus Games.
So in Gods Love Dinosaurs, it is essentially like a food chain style tile laying game where you are building your own little ecosystem. So you have dinosaurs, you have prey, and then you have predators. And then the prey multiply like crazy, but then the predators want to eat the prey, and then the dinosaur wants to eat the predators. So it's this really cool, I wouldn't call it like an engine building, but it's just it's hard to describe,
Yeah, it's cool because you want to go ahead and multiply your prey, but if you don't have any predators that can eat the prey, then what's the point? Because the way that you get points is by the dinosaur eating the predators. That's how you get these little egg, which represent points at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And the way that predators multiply is by eating multiple prey. So you have to be really strategic in the way that you place everything, because you have to make sure that your predators are near prey so that they're able to eat them.
Yeah, and if the predators don't eat the prey, then they die off. They die of starvation. And then, like, dinosaurs are allowed to eat prey, but they don't get eggs for it, which is essentially points. And so you need to have this, like, system where you have enough prey for the predators, but then you don't want to wipe out the prey because then your predators can't eat and then they get starved off. And then if you don't have predators, then your dinosaur can't eat, which is essentially what the game is about, trying to get more dinosaurs, hence Gods Love Dinosaurs. So.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the game. I think I knew that I would like it, though. This is my first time playing a game of this sort. It's sort of like a food chain hierarchy is what they describe it as. And it was very strategic because, like I said, you want to plan where your preys are, you want to plan where your predators are, and then there's a chance for you to go ahead and add more dinosaurs to your board as well. And there are also 5 different columns where you draw tiles from that represent each of the different animals in the game. And once that column is empty, then it activates that certain animal and allows them to either multiply as a prey or feed as a predator. And so it's strategic in, the order that you want to empty the columns, because there were times where he activated like the jaguar column or the tiger column, but I didn't have any tigers in my ecosystem, so I couldn't do anything. Yeah. I think you went pretty prey heavy in the game.
I definitely was. If you see pictures, which I might put, overlay over, but I had a whole bunch of prey, but I didn't have enough predators to go and eat these prey, and so I wasn't getting enough points initially, whereas Reina was playing a very tight ship.
Yeah, I was running a pretty tight ship. I was able each turn or so, I was able to have my prey and then strategically place my predators so that they ate the prey, and then the dinosaurs would activate and eat the predators. And so I never had that many animals on my board at one time because they were constantly serving their purpose. And were you sort of aiming for the long game?
I think I was. I wanted a lot of prey out there so that I can multiply all of my predators faster and then score big points that way. But I know it just didn't really work out as I had imagined.
But it was still a really close game.
It was. I mean, I only lost by 1 point.
Yeah, it was 21-20. And, similar to we said in Volfyirion, I thought I was running away with the game.
I think maybe if we had one more round, I probably could have pulled out the victory here. But, yeah.
There is a common criticism of the game where players don't see that much variability and thus replayability.
It's very samey.
Yeah, there's not really anything that changes the game from play to play. So obviously this is just our first playthrough of it, and I did really enjoy it.
Yeah, I think I would love to try it again and see if we can, see how it changes. Plus, like I was going prey heavy, so how would the strategy work if I went more predator heavy and stuff like that? So I definitely would like to try it again and see how the points match up to that.
Solid game.
Yeah. So next up on our list is The Search for Planet X. This game is designed by Matthew O'Malley and Ben Rossett. It is published by Foxtrot Games and Renegade Games Studios.
So The Search for Planet X is a deduction game, and you are playing as an astronomer trying to figure out where Planet X is in the night sky. And when I say a deduction game, I kind of mean it's sort of like Clue, where each player has different information about where Planet X is, and it's a race to figure out where Planet X is. And it's super cool because they have different rules about where things can be, because you're searching for a lot of things. You're searching for asteroids, comets, gas clouds. There are some empty spaces that you're even looking for. Did I say asteroids yet? Yeah, and there's different rules for them. So for example, asteroids are always going to be next to another asteroid. They're never going to be by themselves. And so using all these different logic rules, you have to try and figure out where Planet X is.
And it's really cool because it has a companion app which does most of the giving you of clues, so each player has their own. You have to have the app to play the game, but yeah, it's super cool because they have different levels that you can play as. So for example, at the very beginner level you get 8 starting clues, whereas for the expert level you get either 2 starting clues or no starting clues at all. So it's crazy. So if you play with more experienced players like we did, we played with Christina and Shu, they kind of gave themselves a handicap because they played it before. So I think the two of us, we got 4 clues each. No, I think we got 8 clues.
I don't think we got 8. I think it was 4, and then Shu got 2 clues, and then Christina got none because apparently she is godly at this game.
I'm pretty certain I got 8 clues. Okay, so I don't know. Because I remember filling out a lot of my bubbles. So
maybe.
Yeah.
So in addition to Planet X, you have all these other things in the universe that you're looking for, because once you find Planet X, you also have to know what's on the right and the left side of it. So you can't just start the game and be like, Planet X is in Sector 12, and then just went on a long shot. You have to have the information as well. And it's cool because you can research, which is, you have different theories, such as, a gas cloud is going to be adjacent to a comet. And you can just keep on using those new theories to go ahead and give you more information about where it could be.
Yeah, and each time you take some type of action, there's surveying, there's targeting, there's researching. Each of this takes time, and there is a circle where it's divided by 12 sectors, and then each time you take is one sector. And so it has that, I guess it's like a trailing mechanism.
Yeah, I think they call it the time track mechanism is what they officially coined it.
So pretty much the person in last gets to go first, and then it just keeps going and going. So if you take too much time and people are taking less time, they get to take more actions than you know.
And it's also cool trying to deduce, because whenever a player takes an action, they're going to announce it. They're going to say, okay, I'm surveying sectors 3 through 7 for comets. And, you're not going to know if they found any comets in there or not, but just having that information could potentially help you figure it out in the future.
There's also, what are conventions? Not conventions. Conferences where you can put out a tile that you think is going to be in that sector. Something that we didn't mention is each sector can only have one thing. So it can only have ever a comet or an asteroid or a gas cloud. Once you figure what it is, you don't have to worry about anything else in that sector. And so when you have these conferences, you put out a token that you think it is, and then slowly after every single conference, the token's going to go down, and eventually it's going to get revealed. And you use the app to see if you guessed it correctly, and if it's correct, you get more points that way. But it also gives all the other players the information for that sector, which reveals it.
And that's what's super cool is because it's not necessarily that the person who finds Planet X wins, because you get points by finding Planet X, but also by correctly guessing what is in each sector at these conferences. And so it's totally possible that you could not be the first player to find Planet X and still win the game.
Yeah.
Which I think is great because it's not really just focused on finding Planet X.
Yeah. In the very end, even after someone has found Planet X, other players have the chance to find Planet X themselves and also score a lot of points. Or they can just put out more of these tokens like you did for
theories.
Conferences, which also give you a lot of points. So it's not just about searching for the Planet X, even though that is the name of the title. But
yeah, I really enjoyed this game. I was super excited to play because it's been out of stock for a long time, and I think I have figured out that I do like logic and deduction games.
yeah, it's I really enjoyed the experience. My head hurts when I play these games, but it was just such a cool experience, and the whole theme, the space theme of it is so great.
Yeah, I really love games that allow you to feel clever. But I guess like on the downside, if you're allowed to feel clever, you're also allowed to feel dumb. And you really have to be careful when you're marking everything on your sheet.
Yes. Yes. So one of the clues that I got was like a gas cloud is directly opposite of an asteroid.
Yeah.
But I mistakenly thought it was a comet, and so that screwed up everything. And if you screw up something, it can completely change like how you find everything else. So definitely watch out for that, but still such a great experience. So cool.
Yeah, and it's definitely playable over like video call or Zoom, because every player just needs the app, and that's really all you need to focus on. And it's a great game. I definitely recommend trying it.
Yeah, because you just need a room code to join, and so that's really great.
And I also think it definitely has replayability because each game gives you a different set of theories, which is the information that you have to work with. So and then you also get each player gets a different set of starting clues if they do start with clues. So, it's just, you're doing the whole process again, but with different information. So it's a great mental exercise.
Yeah, and it's also great that it's that handicap where, more better deducing people, like Sherlock Holmes. He'll start with
no clues.
0 because he could just figure out on his own. But someone that is struggling like me, I can get more clues,
we'll give you
and
8
still
clues.
Just kind of barely get there. So yeah, it was really cool.
You got to work our way up to the expert level.
I loved it.
Nice. All right, and last but not least, we have Tidal Blade's Heroes of the Reef, which is designed by Tim and Ben Eisner and published by both Druid City Games and Skybound Games.
Yeah. So in Tidal Blades, you are each a hero, and you are basically competing in this tournament to be crowned the next Tidal Blade. And this Tidal Blade is essentially this elite force which has to battle these crazy monsters that are coming from what they call the Fold. And this tournament is held in 3 different arenas, and you're basically placing your workers, going there, collecting resources, and doing these challenges. And there's like dice rolling,
worker placement, set collection. A little bit of push your luck in there. This is like a buffet of game mechanisms.
Yeah, it's pretty great. It looks a little overwhelming, to be perfectly honest, because it's so many different things. But, just explaining a little bit by bit, it's very intuitive to learn.
Yeah, that was one of the first things you said when we were learning the game, because we were taught it by Shu, and right off the bat you were like, it honestly feels very intuitive, and I think that's one of the best things that a game can be, is intuitive.
Yeah, because he was also mentioning how it can be very overwhelming, which it definitely was when you first initially look at it, but just explaining 1 or 2 mechanisms of the game, and then you're like, oh yeah, like all the others fall right into place. And it's just incredible. And with dice, there's inherent luck that is involved. And I was very lucky in our first playthrough, and that obviously skyrockets my enjoyment of the game. But I think the way they do dice rolling is really great, because when you're trying to do these challenges, which is basically a set matching, so you have these different dice that you are trying to match symbols for.
Which are 4 different traits that you have on your player board, and there are things like resilience and focus, spirit, and
one
last one. But yeah, so when you complete these objectives with the certain symbols, then you also get to go up on that certain trait on your character. So you also have to be strategic in which challenges you want to complete, which is super great. But yeah, you were talking about the dice, and there's actually different levels of dice.
Yes.
So there is a base level die, which is white, and you can also go into 2 different directions, the red dice or the blue dice. And within the red and the blue, there is, I believe, 3 different levels that have, better faces on them and better chances for you to roll what you need. And so that's a super cool way to go ahead and upgrade stuff in the game.
Yeah, and so when you're doing these challenges, you can roll any amount of times that you would like to. But the problem is you also have to roll this danger dice. And this danger dice involves like these X's, which get rid of your dice that you've rolled. And a really cool way that they prevent the damage is that you have this little a shell shield, and so you spend these little shells and put it onto your spell shield to block the damage, and that allows you to roll again. And you can just keep rolling if you have all of these shells. And so I think that makes it so that it's you can be a terrible roller, like Will Wheaton levels of bad, but you can still win.
Yeah, there's excellent dice mitigation in the game, and I think that's very important in a game that's so dice heavy, and they do a really great way of getting away around that.
Yeah, and each of the characters have their own like upgrade card, which all do really crazy game breaking things. But if everyone has game breaking things, like the game's not really like broken.
Yeah, it's not that uneven. And going off of the dice mitigation thing, I don't think not one of us failed a challenge that we did in our game, which speaks to how great the dice mitigation is. You're like, just because you won all of them, then nothing else matters.
I mean, I feel like there might have been some fails, but yeah, I don't know.
Not on the top of my head. Christina had some pretty bad rolls, but she made it through in the end.
She did.
She powered through.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I heard about this game a while ago, and I think the way that we purchase games is different. I hear like a lot of buzzwords, and I see people like it, and I'm like, let's buy it. So when I heard this game being described, first of all, it looks beautiful, and then I heard, my favorite things, dice rolling, worker placement, set collection. I'm like, we were at Downtown Disney, and I was like, I'm gonna buy this game, and he's like, do you know anything about it? And I was like,
I should have just let her buy it.
Yeah, but the point of that story is that you really love this game.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, I love my dice games, and all of these dice were really great, and that you can like upgrade it. And,
just like tile laying games like Tickle My Brain, you do really well
I love dice rolling.
Not only dice rolling games, but games that encompass multiple things to do. Because in this game, you're gonna want to do so many things. You're gonna want to go up all of your trait tracks, but you're not gonna be able to. But you always find ways to somehow do it all and just do some pretty crazy combos.
I think that was my specific character that wanted me to do that. So that's why I did that route.
Yeah. But you also are good at that. So he did win that game by a good amount. So yeah.
I was pretty proud of it. It's a wonderful game.
Super beautiful. And I think if you are also a fan of all these game mechanics and a fan of just epic games that look great on the table, I cannot suggest Tidal Blades enough.
Yeah. I am definitely gonna try to find like a deluxified copy and add it to our collection, because I love this game.
That's a game that really deserves it.
Yeah. So those were a few first impressions and general overviews of some of the games we got to play over the weekend.
Yeah, let us know if you like this type of video. I know we did go a bit, deeper into the overviews than I think we intended to initially. But for me, it's pretty important that you have some, background knowledge about what we are reviewing or talking about. So let us know how you like that format, and also let us know if you played any of the games that we mentioned and what your first impressions were, and if they changed if you played it a second time. So we'll look out for those comments below.
And we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.